My favorite quotes, excuse me, my favorite quote's by Henry David Thoreau, and he says, "Disobedience is the true foundation for liberty." It's not a quote I can usually share when I'm at a Unity church or when I'm speaking to elementary school kids. And I remembered that quote when I heard of something called the Keystone XL oil pipeline. Show of hands, who's heard of it? Keystone XL oil pipeline. While I found out about this, it was about 6 months before the news clip happened, maybe 9. The Keystone XL oil pipeline is, according to NASA's chief climatologist, Jim Hansen, and he's the top climatologist for the White House, said that essentially it'll be endgame to the climate. It's using Canadian tar sands oil, which takes hundreds and millions of gallons of fresh water in order to make it this dirty form of bitumen, a form of oil, usable. And they take it from Canada down into Texas and ship it overseas. And so it's supposed to increase, estimated by Mr. Hansen, the temperature of the planet 1 degree per year. And they wanted to start building this. I just finished the first draft of my book. I was pretty distraught, actually, because nobody was taking the book. I was too young. I was this, I was that. I started to think, maybe dreams aren't possible. At what point is a story if we can't share it? And I thought, I'll take a break and I'll head to Washington, D.C. There was going to be a protest. We had a permit to protest, and there were 64 of us there. And we got there, and I had a flight back with my buddy. We got there on a Thursday, and we were going to head home that weekend. And we went up to the White House. There were 64 of us. People younger, there was a couple 8-year-olds there with their parents, to so far as 70-year-old couples. And we had a permit. We were going to stand out front of it, and we were just going to protest. And there was actually a bill passed recently where if the Secret Service is present, they're allowed to detain you as long as they want without being charged with a crime. And as you can tell, I've never shared this publicly. And so they put us in Secret Service paddy wagons, and they held us without charging us with a crime or reading us our rights, and they didn't feed us for a day. We didn't get water, and 6 women were hospitalized. And we were held there, and they were shipping us all around the different jails to mess with us. And I was there. I saw hope for humanity, though I was in this little cell. I was a top bunk on a metal sheet, and the fluorescent light was about a foot above me. And I remember one day they didn't give us any water, and finally the police guard came, and I was pissed off, and I said, expletive, where is our water? He said, I'm not your mom, sorry I forgot today. And then he called 6 of us and handcuffed us. One of them with us was Dan Choi. If anyone knows who Dan Choi is, that is one of the first major Marines. He was actually one of the few that spoke Afghani, and he was one of the head translators for Iraq and Afghanistan, and came out as a homosexual, and so was discharged and basically turned his life into as Henry David Thoreau also says, a counterfriction to the machine. So it took 6 of us, including Dan, and they shipped us across town to a few jails and finally put us in a jail. And after 3 days, they told us we were going to be processed. We still hadn't been charged with a crime. And they told us that we were going to be processed. And so they handcuffed our feet and our hands. Mind you, there were 70-year-old women and men that were handcuffed. And they took us into like the county jail where there's people that are actually committing crimes, and held us there the whole day. We were handcuffed and foot cuffed, sitting down like that for the whole day. And at the end of the day, and we hadn't been fed or water, and a few of us were fasting because we weren't going to eat any of the food there. And I remember I had to go to the bathroom, and there wasn't a bathroom. And so they took me down where like the people that were real in trouble were. and they told me don't look at anyone. And I remember that's when I realized that there's a major problem, that we're not doing anything to help people. Our government can arrest and detain people for no reason. They can do whatever they want. Our voting system is a fraud, and the people that are elected are not having the interest of we the people. And that's when I realized there's a major problem, that when we had a permit to protest and we were obstructing, which was the profiteering of major multinational corporations, they brought the Secret Service and threw us in jail while the president was at Martha's Vineyard. And I remember while I was in the bathroom down there in a cell, very dirty, seeing all these every single inmate was black, and seeing all of them and just being like, man, we really have to do something. And so we got back upstairs, and they told us to line up, and they put us all back against the wall and lined us up. And they uncuffed our feet, and we thought we were going to go see the judge, which was weird because we had never been charged with a crime. Uncuffed our feet, uncuffed our hand. First they uncuffed our feet, and then they uncuffed our hands. He said, everyone turn around, open the door, go out this door. We get out the door, and we realize that it's the door outside. You guys can go. And they were trying to scare us so future people wouldn't come, and they just let us go. That was a bad idea because that really pissed me off. And I had one more agent on my list. He wasn't answering my emails, literary agent for my book. So I decided that I would show up at his house. And I got my contracts, and we released my book April 16th this year. And it made the Amazon best-selling list. And I realized, that I wanted to use the proceeds to help some kids. And because I believe that with a lot of courage, we can really do something. Here I am in jail, and I'm telling this man my story. He says to me, the only difference between Martin Luther King, between Rosa Parks, between someone such as our friend in the back who risked her life, and the average person, is that they don't quit. And I took that to heart, to not let myself be stopped with my book. My mind was telling me every reason why it couldn't work. I was 22. I dropped out of college. I left behind a basketball scholarship and a promising life where I could get a big house and a gold watch. And now I've got Danny's bracelet on my wrist. And I realized something. And you know what I realized is that change never happened due to who votes. Yeah, we signed the Emancipation Proclamation, but that didn't happen because some guy in the office was like, hey, we should end slavery. That happened because ordinary people took extraordinary action. He said, there's no point in being alive unless I'm doing something with my life. That right now, whether we want to accept it or not, the human civilization is on the road to extinction. 100 years, something like that. But you know what else is so powerful is that we have the technology to reach 500 million people in a day. Justin Bieber makes a YouTube video, 200 million people see it in a week. And so I asked myself, what do I want to share with the world? And what I wanted to share with the world is, that it's possible. That when we have a government that can detain people for no reason, when we have a government that goes to war to line the pockets of the lobbyists that put them into office, when we're spending more money on war than we're spending to feed children and educate children, we're on the road to our own destruction. And if we sit back and we wait for somebody else to do something, then all we're doing is putting ourselves straight onto that road of extinction. And the solution is that we follow our gifts. Like what Picasso said, the purpose of life is to share your gifts with the world. That the way the world's going to change is that we have to create images anew. Who cares what's on the media? Create something else. Who cares what's on the radio? Create something else. That's why we're alive, is to create images anew. And when you're scared and you feel that you don't do it, I invite you to not ask yourself this question. Oh, what's the worst that could happen? What's the worst that could happen? As soon as we ask ourselves and we start to make those images in our head real, paralyze ourselves. We're done. It's over. Because we can't find a reason to continue because we're scared right away. And so I invite you to ask yourself another question. What's the best that could happen? What's the best that could happen if you say, I'm just going to permanently get out of my comfort zone? That, man, I may die because I'm doing what I'm doing, but I know I'm supposed to be doing it. You know, like Danny said, like, how many of us really are pushing ourselves to that limit? And if we don't do that, what are the consequences of doing that? Well, maybe our kids won't have a world. Maybe their kids won't have a world. And so let's ask ourselves, let's take the pact to ask ourselves, what's the best that could happen? If I leave today and I say that popular opinions, trends, fads, and beliefs about what's possible and impossible, throw it out the window. We have to create images anew. And what's the best that could happen if we do that? Thank you. And I would like everyone for a minute, I would love everyone if we just close our eyes for a second. I want everyone to close your eyes. Please. I want everyone to close your eyes, and I want you to see that fear that's stopping you from the next step, the fear of marketing what you're doing. Danny's like, he's like, what workshop are you going to go to? I think the marketing one. He starts laughing at me because I sell books to cashiers at stores, anywhere I am. And we're doing a disservice if we're not doing it, if we feel we can help. So see that fear. If it's that you're scared to market it, that you're scared to take the next step, I want you to see it as a color. See that fear as a color. What color is it? Feel it in your body. Identify it. And then what I want you to do is I want you to see what's the best that could happen. Those empowering thoughts, the people's lives that you touch, that you can touch. What's that look like? What's the world look like if you do that? And you inspire other people to do that. And then I want everyone to take a deep breath. And I want everyone to see the color of that fear while you exhale, coming out through your body and your body filling with that positive color. I want everyone to just do that. And every time when you feel scared, that you can just take 1 second and you can go back to this color and that you can reprogram yourself. That you can sit up straighter, that you don't have to hunch your chest over while you're talking to someone. And you don't have to have someone else hopefully find your product or your message some way that you can share it and that you can do it. And that we have to do it. So thank you.